This is Nerds with Words, unlocking the vault of knowledge one nerdy fact at a time. I'm your host, Wonder Nerd, and today we're talking about pretty fire, falling rocks, and murderous cells. Have you ever been burning something, hopefully legally, and thought to yourself you wish the fire was purple? Well, I'll tell you how to do that. Do you know the difference between an asteroid, a comet, and a meteor? What if the 5-second rule didn't work? How does your body protect itself? And we'll finish off with puns and some bloopers of why my cats hate me. I'm pretty sure they do it on purpose at this point. To my pyromaniacs out there, please do not try this at home. You will love this segment as we go over how to make fire even more pretty. But first, we should talk about quote unquote normal fire. The color of flames can provide valuable insights into the temperature and composition of fire. As the temperature of the flame increases, it transitions through various colors. First, we start with dark red, the first visible glow. It occurs at temperatures ranging from 500 to 1000 degrees Celsius. As it turns orange, it goes from about 1000 to 1200 degrees Celsius, and then to yellow at 1200 to 1400 degrees Celsius, and then white at 1400 to 1600 degrees Celsius. If you don't know anything about Celsius, don't feel bad, neither do I. You can blame the American government and capitalism. Just know it goes from hot to really really, really hot, okay? Now, let's take boring old fire and give it a makeover. Depending on the compound that is being burned, the color of the flame changes due to something called light spectroscopy. Look at me using fancy phrases, and it essentially just means that it's how color is expressed through visible light. For Shrek, use copper acetate to make a green flame, to make a color that is the blue color of Fun Dip that is suddenly weirdly green and blue once you lick it. Add copper to the fire to make a blue-green flame. Do you think adding potassium iodide produces a yellow flame like a banana? Nope, it's violet. What about magnesium? It emits a white flame. To make it look like a burning smurf, you can add lithium carbonate to generate a blue flame. What if you want to make red, like a better red? You can use strontium. I vote that we rename all the science names. You can use strontium nitrate that contributes to making a red flame. This interesting chemistry phenomenon is what is used in fireworks. So the next time you see fireworks, just think chemistry and chemicals and exploding fire. Nice. Moving on. Now we're going to move on to naming the chunks of ice and rock in the sky. Determining what they are called depends on the amount of ice and rock that's within them. For example, comets are icy bodies with distinctive tails that release gases gracefully as they orbit the sun. So think Halley's Comet just being a giant chunk of ice and rock. Whereas asteroids, they are similar to comets because they orbit the sun and will continue to do so until they run into something like Earth. Moving on to even smaller rocks, meteoroids are smaller rocks that come from asteroids, comets, or even planets. When a meteoroid enters Earth's atmosphere and begins to burn up, it's known as a meteor. Once it touches the ground, they become meteorites. Thank goodness we have gas giants like Jupiter or Saturn to catch most of the big ones, or we would be bombarded with these every day. Moving on, nerds, do you know why you should never let monkeys eat bananas? Trick question. That phrase uses the first letter of each word to describe the 5 major white blood cells in your body. So, in the phrase, never let monkeys eat bananas, N is for neutrophils, L is for leukocytes, M is for monocytes, E is for eosinophil, and B is for basophil. Neutrophils, the first line of defense that specializes in annihilating bacteria, fungi, and foreign bodies and debris. They are basically like the little police officers in your body that freaks out whenever someone just doesn't look quite right and they don't think belongs in your body. Lymphocytes, the immune system strategists, contribute to the fight against viruses and play a crucial role in antibody production. In other words, they're the arms builders, so they build all the weapons that they can use against bacteria. Monocytes act as diligent custodians as they clean up damaged cells and maintain the body's integrity. In other words, they eat literally everything. Like everything. Neutrophils, the first line of defense that specializes in annihilating bacteria, fungi, and foreign bodies and debris. They are basically like the little police officers in your body that freaks out whenever someone just doesn't look quite right and they don't think belongs in your body. Lymphocytes, the immune system strategists, contribute to the fight against viruses and play a crucial role in antibody production. In other words, they're the arms builders, so they build all the weapons that they can use against bacteria. Monocytes act as diligent custodians as they clean up damaged cells and maintain the body's integrity. In other words, they eat literally everything. Like everything. Everything. They eat everything. Moving on to the most rare of your white blood cells, starting with eosinophil. They are basically made for big jobs like cancer and parasites and help in allergic responses. Lastly, basophils emerge as key players in allergic reactions, so you can basically blame them. Actually, it's the mast cells that you can blame, but we can just pretend the basophils are to blame. Now, my precious nerds, we get to look at some of the photos I took from my microbiology class. Don't you just feel special? So these are actually the cells that I took pictures of. This first little buddy is actually a cute little basophil. They are, as I said, not very common, so the fact that I found this guy was a miracle. Next, we look at this kind of butt-shaped one, and you can always tell which one's a butt-shaped one. Those will always be the little adorable monocytes. Monocytes kind of just have those two little lobes. So we move on. The little squiggly ones that look like poop, those ones are most likely the neutrophils. So that guy is probably a little neutrophil. Now we have a couple different ones here. And if we're looking, and again, forgive me if I don't get all these right, I'm still kind of learning, but we can look at the red arrow, and it looks like there's two little buddies. So that one is probably going to be another neutrophil, as is the yellow. And then the green, that one's also probably going to be, it looks like it's probably a neutrophil, but it also could be a monocyte because of the multiple lobes. And then you had the big chonky fella over in the blue. That one's most likely, it kind of looks like, that one is definitely looking like a neutrophil. Now we keep moving. Now this one, I was fairly certain it was a lymphocyte, but it kind of looked like it exploded. So I'm not sure what that fella is actually. Now we move on to the dark purple, which is another one that kind of just exploded. And then we have another little neutrophil in the blue. This little purple one is definitely a lymphocyte. It just has one giant lobe in the middle of it. So, in conclusion, think of these little buddies as just your little friends. They make sure that you don't die from just a nick, and yes, sometimes they go a little overboard with your protection. So, the next time you pick a scab, just think of the slaughter of millions of your little protectors because, quote unquote, it's satisfying. Now we move on to my favorite part of the podcast where I will cause the following symptoms: laughter, groans, and the hopes the world ends sooner. Probably sooner than we probably think it will, but it's time for puns. What happens to firefighters when they're let go? Simple, they're fired. I know that's a stupid one. What's the difference between a comet and a asteroid? One is a little meteor. Get it? Because like meat, bigger, yeah, whatnot. Why did the cell cross the microscope to get to the other slide? Alrighty, nerds, before you go back to the mundane, immerse yourself in the extraordinary by trying to learn at least one random useless fact a day. You can try to use them to get out of a speeding ticket, jury duty, or an awkward dinner with a distant family member. How fun is that? Links to the articles for this podcast are in the bio. This was Nerds with Words, where I spend my time talking about things that make me happy because the world will end someday and might as well laugh as the world burns. Stay curious, stay nerdy. Bye, nerds. No, stop. Don't touch my stool. Don't touch the stool. Why nobody loves you. You know this, right? You're gonna die alone. Actually, I'm gonna taxidermy you. That's what I will do. Is that what you want to happen? Or should I turn you into a slap bracelet? Ooh, I could turn you into slippers. What do you think?